Good afternoon, everyone. Our trackers have been out in the middle of the day, and look what they have found. They have found Madame Tundi and her precious little one. They're just moving down a little bit. I'm going to try and get us around to where she is moving, so just stay with me. I am Noelle, and on camera today I have VM. Hello, wildebeest. And we are just super chuffed at what is happening right now, and I hope all of you are chuffed as well. Chuffed means happy, it means glad, it means just super enthusiastic about the whole thing. Now, she's been resting in the shade a little bit, and so I think she's just going to move over and find another little piece of shade. So we're just going to meander under here, bypass everybody, and have a look and see if we can get another little visual for you. So just keep an eye over the top of my head for her. There she is, moving up the bank, down the way. It's a little bit thick in here, but I'm going to do my best to keep up and keep track. I think I might just stop here for a second, Vildi, if you think maybe we can get a little bit of a view before I have to start doing some boondu bashing. Now, for those of you that might be new with us, Thandi is one of our resident females, one of our territorial females. Her cub is about 3 months old. Thandi is about 11 years old. She's had several litters, and this is her newest. And she's been absent because of some issues with male leopards that keep popping up that really shouldn't be here. So the father of this cub, Tingana, this cub's a little bit too young for Tingana to be doing anything with. And then Hukumuri male's been in, and I know Tristan's been chatting with you about that new interloper. So now I think while we're busy meandering through this, which is a little bit thick, we're going to head over to one of the other presenters. Nikki, I'm so sorry I didn't hear who it was, but we're going to head over there, and I know you'll enjoy whatever they have as well. She is in a good spot, thanks, Scott, and she is panting because it's hot. It's interesting. It's not hot, but it's super humid today. It was really overcast this morning with a tiny little spitting of rain. Not enough rain for us to have to put the roofs on for TV show, thank goodness. And I hope all of you enjoyed our live broadcast on Nat Geo Wild. It was our morning, but your evening. And sorry to all the Patriots fans. I know my family that is still in New England is not impressed, but congrats to all the Eagles fans, as I hear it was a good game. Now, I'm just waiting for this cuteness. Ooh, what does she see? What does she see? I wonder what she sees. I can't quite get a look at it. So Mason, hi sweetie, I'm going to whisper my answer to you, okay? Mason, Tundi is a leopard. So leopards have something called rosettes, which are squiggly little dark marks with light marks in between. A cheetah has spots. Cheetahs are also taller and longer than a leopard. Now, I've seen leopards in thick territory like this, and I've seen them in open territory. And I've seen cheetahs in thick territory like this, and I've seen them in open territory. Cheetahs tend to run after their prey. To catch them, leopards stalk. And something's caught her attention, Mason. She's moving a little bit differently. She's coming up the other side. Now, I'm not quite sure. Maybe the cub did something and moved around a little bit. But she has, she's changed directions. So because she's changed directions, that actually means that I now need to change directions so we can keep up with her. I'm just going to take away a little spider web. There we go, everybody. So a leopard's one of the big 5 animals. We get leopard, lion, elephant, buffalo, and rhino. So this is a leopard, and you've had rhino already in the Masai Mara. Now, let's see if we can keep up with our leopard. And I think while we're waiting, let's head up to Jamie, who has a cheetah, so that you all can see the difference between Tundi, who's a female cheetah, and Malaika, who is, Tundi. So Vildi and I have parked ourselves in a tree to get this a little glimpse of Tundi. You can see our beautiful foliage of this combretum tree around us, one of the trees that you'll find on this type of soil and small drainage lines, and it's a perfect place to create a nice little nook, a little habitat, a little niche, a little home for this leopardess. Now, this female leopard and her baby are currently moving from place to place to place because there are male leopards around that she's not comfortable with. So female and male leopards both have territories. They both have specific homes. Like you kids, you go to school and you have your home, and that's your territory. And you might have a place where you go and play sports. That's your territory. So leopards are the same. Then she's got a wider space called a home range that she'll venture to more outside, and that would be the same as all of you. You might have a place where you go and visit, not all the time, but from time to time, but also a place where you feel comfortable. Now, because her cub is little, it's only 3 months old, it's teeny, teeny, tiny, she sticks to her specific home area. And she moves around as much as possible because the male leopards that are here are not supposed to be here. So there's a big male we call Hukumuri, and he's definitely not supposed to be here. And they had a slight bit of contact the other day, and it made Tundi move just to the outer reaches of her home. And then Hukumuri moved away, thank goodness. And then the father of the cub, whose name is Tingana, he is not really welcome around this tiny little cub. The cub needs to be older because sometimes with tiny cubs like this, the males are not very nice to them. So she's trying very hard to stay away from them. She's also trying hard to stay away from other female leopards. Ooh, Asaya, good question. You want to know, how hot is it here on the hottest day of summer? So physically where I am right now, Asaya, in the greater Kruger area in Sabi Sands, one of our hottest days will probably be about 38 to 42 degrees Celsius, so about 115 degrees Fahrenheit. And now sometimes it's humid, but it's more dry than humid. There are places in the States that are much more humid. The Northeast is very humid, and down the East Coast is very humid. We don't get that kind of humidity, and it's nothing like Florida. If any of you have ever been to Florida, that's very humid. It's nothing like that. But today is an odd day for us, where it's not very hot, but it is more humid than we're used to. So that's one of the reasons why she's panting like that. And also her belly looks a little bit full. So because her belly is a bit full, she doesn't sweat like we do. Like I'm sitting here and I'm perspiring a little bit because of the humidity. She doesn't have that ability to lose moisture through her skin. So she has to pant. She also has to pant to help digest what's inside of her belly. So she pants to cool down, and she pants to digest her food. Listen, listen, listen. She's calling the baby. I hope you could all hear that. So, sorry, Nikki, was it Kelly or Teddy? Teddy, you want to know, how do we move so fast from place to place to show us the animals? So, Teddy, I'm out here in a vehicle. I also have James that's not far from me, and he's on his feet. And then we've got Scott in a vehicle, but they're very close to me. So then we have far away from me, 1,600 miles away, we have Jamie and Ralph up in the Masai Mara. So we use the internet. We use the internet just like you guys are using the internet now. And we've got special signal that takes the signal from the camera on the back of my car all the way to London, and then it bounces back off of London and comes back into the Masai Mara, roughly. Look, there's more to it, but that's how we're able to do it. So it's all of us coming to you on live camera, on live TV, as it were, using the internet. It's amazing, Teddy. So Teddy, when Wild Earth first started, when Safari Live first started, we didn't have this type of technology. It's only because in the past sort of, what do you say, Vildy, like 6 years? 5 years? That the technology has gotten good enough for us to be able to do what we're doing. It's really incredible. Billy, I don't know if you want to show the kids what the back of our car looks like. So kids, if you want to see, so this is me sitting in the car. This is my little screen. There's cables that come out the back, and they work through into where VM sits in the back. And then at the back of the vehicle, we have this antenna that sticks up. And that antenna off the back of the car, along with other fancy equipment, helps us to broadcast the signal out using basically internet. So while we're busy waiting for this cub to show up, let's head on over to Scott, who's on a vehicle. He's not too far from me, just a few miles, and see what he's up to. Kiddos, here's the little cub. Do you see how teeny tiny it is compared to Mum? And this is how leopard cubs get a bath from Mum. Look, she's getting in her ear. It's a little female cub. And she's getting all the little bits off. It's also a way that she shows love. So cats like this do something called reaffirming a social bond. Humans do the same thing. So when you give your parents or your friends or your brother and sister a hug, that's reaffirming your bond that you have with each other. Now, kids, I also want to say just how special this is. So I've been guiding for just over a decade, and a cub this small is very rare to see, so this is very special. Ooh, Cameron, you're testing my file 13. Cameron, you want to know how many teeth a leopard has. Now, Cameron, once upon a time, I had that information at my fingertips, but I have filed it away in file 13, which is my backup file, and I actually, off the top of my head right now, cannot think of the answer. So I'm thinking I'm going to throw that one out. I know we've got a few people in the Twitterverse and the YouTubeverse who possibly have that ability to answer that right at your fingertips, because it's escaping me right now. Cameron, that is an excellent question. I can tell you something special about their teeth while we're talking about it. So when you chew your food, like if you're going to bite an apple, you bite the apple with your front teeth. Now, if you all feel your teeth, they're pretty square, and my teeth aren't very even, but some of you might have very even teeth, and then they're pretty square and pretty flat and thin in the front, and then you go to the back and you feel your molars. You feel how square and flat those are there. So we have teeth that are made for grinding down food. These animals have teeth for shredding food, so they don't use their front teeth to chew. They use their molars at the back. Feel your molars again. You feel how square they are? Now, their molars have pointy parts that work like scissors. Oh, it's nursing. And those scissors allow them to grab the side of the food and chew. Now, cheetahs have a similar teeth structure to a leopard, but their mouths are much smaller than a leopard's mouth. So we're going to send you up to Jamie, who knows a lot about cheetah. She spends a good time with them. So let's ask her about cheetah teeth. You go away. So she growled a little bit and hissed a little bit. So the cub's just gone to the backside. Now, where Vildy and I are parked at the moment is pretty much the only spot we have with a nice gap to see. So we're not really able to move around too much. We're sort of stuck. You can see I can barely turn around and talk to you. We're stuck in this tree on the side of a bank with one tiny little hole so that you all can view. So we're going to keep where we are now for this view until they decide to move, and then obviously we'll move, and I think everyone will be quite happy with what we have at the moment. Now, I'd be interested to know what everyone thought about our show that we had this morning, but it would have been last night for all of you. I'm pretty chuffed with the content that we got. It was sad that Tundi and Cub weren't there, but we're hoping for tomorrow morning for our second installment of our 5-day binge series on Nat Geo Wild, that she'll be around so that people can see her from across the United States. Many of you that are with us now are with us regularly on the YouTube. And then when we broadcast live from Nat Geo, we get to hit a whole bunch of other people who might not even knew what Safari Live was, and then they come and join us on YouTube every morning and every afternoon, hopefully thereafter. Man, she's hot. And don't forget as well, we are live and interactive for anyone that might be new with us. So send through those questions, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or put them into the YouTube chat. We've talked about this before, so I'm just going to steer away from facts for a little bit. I sit here with leopards like this, and she keeps glancing at us, and I'm always like, oh, she must just think like, oh, the humans, the safari paparazzi are here. Oh, And then, of course, then she takes a nap. And viewers, thank you so much. You're saying the show was great. Lots of content, lots of variety. I'm glad you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to tune in again tonight for all of you, but tomorrow morning for us. I have a feeling that the little cub is finding a little spot away. Bobby, are you asking if other animals have belly buttons? Okay. All right, so yes, Bobby, that's what you're asking. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure that that I had heard that correctly. Bobby, in all of my years of guiding, I have never been asked this question, so thank you for a new question. So, Bobby, because leopards and elephants and hippo and wildebeest and a lot of the creatures that we show you out here are mammals, that means that they have an umbilical cord connected to the placenta when they're inside the mum gestating and growing until they're big enough to come out. And so that means that the umbilical cord is attached to a place like our belly button. So I don't know if other mammals have a belly button like we do. I can tell now. I know some of you right now are touching your belly button because I want to touch my belly button. So I know some of you are touching your belly button. You might have an innie, you might have an outie, might be a little bit flat, but that's where the umbilical cord was connected. So I'm pretty positive that where the umbilical cord's connected on something like a leopard would be similar. Maybe not the same, but similar, but we just don't necessarily see it because of the body structure that they have and also a lot of hair and fur. Now, for something like a wildebeest or a giraffe or most of our hooved animals, the antelope species, you'll see that dried up umbilical cord there for a few weeks after birth, sometimes up to about 2 months, depending on the species. I know with giraffe, you can see it up to about 2 months. And where it's connected, there's more of an outie than an innie. From what I'm remembering. But then, as I'm thinking about it now, as the umbilical cord falls off properly over the next several months, so when they're about 4 months old, 3 months old, you're not really going to see that little spot where the outie is sort of disappears. So I guess it would be a flat one, maybe going into an innie. You know, we had Dr. Priya from the Columbus Zoo tweeting with us this morning, and because she deals with captive bred animals, we deal with wild animals, so we don't physically touch these animals. And when I was doing research, I was never even thinking of looking for a belly button. But I would be interested to know, with Dr. Priya, if she's ever had to look for a belly button. Just as a random thought. What a great question. I can see you all sitting there pondering like, belly buttons on a leopard. And now we're all thinking about belly buttons. Well done on that question. Well done. So I think that little leopard has moved away down the drainage line, but I also have a sneaky suspicion that it's probably climbed up a little bit and might actually be looking at us. This little female is getting to that stage where everything is going to be super interesting for her, and she's going to be very, very, very curious. Now, there's a couple of times when we look for Tundi and we find where she's been, and the little cub will pop up, and then if Tundi's not there, obviously we leave. But now that this little cub is older, a lot of the times what she does is she looks at us like, hey, I know you, I know what you're all about, I'm going to check you out, and she'll be doing that now. She'll also be investigating her surroundings quite a bit. Absolutely fantastic. Scott has found something that we don't get to see very much. And so I think we're going to head on over to him. Unless, Nikki, did I hear you wrong on that just now? Okay, perfect. Let's go over and see what he has to show us with the drone. So Tundi can't quite figure out what she wants to do. She was lying on her left side, then her right side, then her left side, then her right side. So now she's sitting up. And it has dropped a few degrees in temperature, and the humidity has gone away, not totally, but a little bit. So she's still panting, but not as heavily. The temperature is getting a little bit better. Listen, listen. She was making quiet little calls to the cub. She's not doing a very loud one. They're very, very quiet. The bird you could hear calling quite hectically in the back. Oh, sorry, everyone. The bird you could hear calling quite hectically in the background there was a gray hornbill. It's one of my favorite calls in the bush. Listen, listen. I think she's ready to get going. I think she wants to move soon. I also think that she's just checking to see where the cub is. There's a yawn. So before predators move, they yawn, they stretch. There's the cub coming up the back. Bath time again, reaffirming of that social bond again. The cub's trying to nurse again. Did you notice that little snarl there? The minute the cub goes for the teats, she's like, oh, I just can't. She's very sore. That cub has very sharp teeth. Philip, excellent question. You want to know if we'll be here with Tundi overnight. Philip, we have in this area a curfew for the reserve, for everybody that is on the reserve, and it has to deal with anti-poaching maneuvers. And so, no, we will not be staying with Tundi overnight. We will be leaving her sort of shortly after show wraps and then picking up in the same area again tomorrow morning. We don't want to do anything to affect the anti-poaching teams that are out here, for one. And then for two as well, Tundi and cub, as much as we want her on TV show tomorrow, they also need to be able to have a little bit of their own space in these thick vegetations because the cub is so little. If they were older and we didn't have curfew, possibly a different scenario. If we didn't have curfew at all, even at this age, also possibly a different scenario, but we have what we have and we're given what we're given, and there's sort of definitive reasons behind that. And so I think we'll be good and we'll find her tomorrow. Now, from one cute little cub to another cute little cub, we are going to head up to a different species that I really, really enjoy seeing the youngsters of, and so does Ralph. All right, everyone. Tundi has allowed her little one to nurse, and we usually do a moment of silence with sort of bird calls and scenery, but I think let's do our moment of silence with this uber cuteness and just really enjoy it while we have it. Oh, that was absolutely fantastic. I hope you all enjoyed it. Now, Nikki, I believe Allie was asking about the new male leopards in the area, or the male leopards in general, and do they know if Tundi and cub are here? Oh, yeah, for sure, Allie, for sure. Tundi does know that there's a new male in the area. She came into contact with him, not as far as I know, face to face, but Tristan had Hukumuri, salivating and wandering around looking for what we thought was Hasana, and then later on bumped into Tundi and cub, and Tundi was completely frantic. So yeah, she's aware. That's why she's over here in the corners. We were chatting it a little bit earlier on Game Drive, and it's a theme that will keep coming up again and again. So it's a good question to keep asking. But yes, she is definitely aware. Tingana's not aware. He hasn't been over here in a while. although he might be making his way this side. He left Chitwa and went north into Torchwood yesterday, so it's possible that he might come and realize that Hukamuri was around and scent marking in places that he really shouldn't. But Hukamuri has also moved off now. Hukamuri's moved west. I believe he's over by Simbambili. So he might decide that this is part of his, or he might just carry on. Sorry, Nikki, Gary's asking, will she be upset with other cats around? Will she hunt? So, Gary, you're asking, will she hunt with other cats so close around? Gary, of course, she needs to eat, but the first thing she's going to do is move her cub away. There's always going to be other cats in the area. So she's obviously concerned about lions being in the area. She doesn't want to be killed by lions, and she doesn't want her cubs to be killed by lions. New males coming in, of course she's going to have a concern there, but she still needs to live her life. So she does what a leopard does best, which is to go and hide. And move away. But she's not going to move out of her core territory unless she's being actively pursued by that male, and she hasn't been actively pursued by him. So life is normal, life is carrying on. We've just been having a little bit harder time finding her because of the areas she's choosing. It's very difficult for us to get the vehicles in. It's also difficult to get in on foot. And as well as the fact that that cub's not in full denning mode anymore. So she's not going to be in one place for long, like she was when the cub was younger than 3 months and she was fully denning. So that's why it's been a little bit harder with finding her. But she's definitely eating. She's taking care of the cub. She's good. She's doing her thing. Thanks, Jamie. It's always great to see Jackal hunting. We now have a slightly more active Tundi and cub. The cub's like, yay, Mom, I'm full. It's cooler. Let's play. Let's go. Where are we going to go? Tundi's like, oh, child, we'll be there in a minute. I need a scratch. I want to groom myself. And I have a feeling that cub's going to come barreling down that little hill just now, or Mom will walk up. There. So cute. Okay, so where I am is difficult to maneuver around slightly, so I just want to keep an eye on her on where she decides to go, and then it will be easier for me to decide where are we going to go. And I think they're going to go off and investigate a little bit. I'll be interested to know if she brings the cub with her or if she tells the cub to stay put. The cub's in a little bit of stalk mode. There goes Mum. The cub's still here, watching Mum. Watching Mum's tail flick a little bit. Stalking through the grass behind this tree. And you can see now just how easy it is to miss a leopard when we're driving around and tracking. You can have all the tracks in the world, but sometimes this camouflage just proves to be too much. So Scott has some leopard tracks where he is. I'd be curious to know who he thinks the tracks belong to. So I think let's head on over to him, and then I'll maneuver around for a little bit of a... All right, everyone, she's heading north over the boundary, but she does not have the cub with her. She's left the cub. So that is good news. The only thing that's distressing about this is that if she makes a kill inside of here, then she'll probably go fetch the cub and then be in there. But that being said, Tundi knows best what she needs and where she needs to go and what she wants to do and how she's going to function as a mum and with her area. Now, earlier we were talking about her functioning within her core territory. It feels as if that she's now pushing the edges of that territory with the cub just a little bit, and that's okay. I don't think she's going to spend too long inside of Biffleshoek, but I do think that she's just trying to sort of redo where she is to keep her cub safe. Now, she's heading east again. So she didn't go far into Biffleshoek. She's just maybe 80, 100 meters in. So it's possible she's just smelling and investigating. This isn't far from where we had... Sorry, I've got a Shongololo on my dashboard. We're not going to go to it now, but I'll keep it here for you. Don't know where it came from. So I'm going to stay sort of parallel with her as much as possible. This is where we had tracks for a male leopard the other day that we thought was Tingana, but it wasn't Tingana, it was someone else. Here's my Shongololo friend. I'm assuming he got knocked off of a branch of one of the trees. So he's probably rather confused about what's happening right now. Now, let me just see if I can find a gap so that we can look. And if she's just going to walk parallel with the road here inside of the block, it's really not a train smash. She might just come back in. There, she's on top of that tree, that dead log there. There we go. Perfect. She could just be investigating. Also, she's left her cub and she can smell where that other male was. I was chatting with Tristan about it, and Tristan was saying could be Djuma, could be a couple other males. He's not 100% sure. I'm going to laugh if she takes a nap here. Nope, she's going to scratch, put her scent on there. That's good. Just having a look around. She'll probably hunt a little bit tonight. But I think we should cross fingers and hold thumbs that whatever she does, we're able to find her in the morning and enjoy her in the morning, and if not in the morning, then tomorrow afternoon, although I think tomorrow morning is probably preferred. I'm going to just roll back a little. Paula, you'd like to know what is the normal heart rate and respiratory rate of a leopard? Paula, I have no idea. Interesting question. I'm sure it can be Googled somehow, but yeah, I have no idea. Vildy's my Google. Vildy says 100. Aren't we 120 beats? Humans? Are we slower? Vildy says 120 beats a minute. Vildy, how do you have that information in your head? Were you counting them? Well, I don't know if you guys can hear Vildy. Vildy saying on Karula, Thundi's mom, you could see the heart so close to the skin at one point that he was counting the beats. Vildy, that's very interesting. Vildy's a treasure trove of information. He's like the MacGyver of Safari Live. I was watching him fix a computer the other day, and I was in awe of what he was able to do. And now he's got information like 120 beats a minute. Thanks, Vildy. All right, everybody. It looks like she's gone just down here a little bit. So I'm not able to quite see her at the moment. So I think let's head on.